The Kitmen! Right, lads, what's the crack? This is also Kev. And?
This is Kevin also.
Right, lads. 2-0 against Atletico. We'll get to in a minute. We are the Kitmen, just to start off this weekend's EPL preview show. A few interesting things happened throughout last weekend and throughout the Champions League, and especially in the game between Liverpool and Atletico, without a H. What did you make of the game, anyway, Kev, yourself?
What did I make of it? Well, I suppose I did think we would get the 3 points. I thought it would be a relatively more cagey affair over the 90 minutes. Liverpool started very quickly.
Yeah.
To put the pressure on right from the get-go. Got 2 goals. Atletico, I've heard Garrett Roberts talking about it on the Anfield Rap, and the best term he has for them is shithouses.
Yeah, shithouses. Yeah.
That's what they are. That's what they do. I think, unfortunately for them, on this occasion, the referee, he wasn't in the mood to take any messing from the lads.
No shtick. There was no shtick.
No shtick at all. He pulled him up in very quickly.
Yeah.
They were sent off, obviously, which obviously worked in our favour. So going from what I thought would have been a very cagey affair, where they were going to, play dirty, I suppose, and probably largely get away with it, and they were put in their place quite quickly with a combination of Liverpool's pressure and the referee on the night. So at the end of it turned out to be 3 easy points, and again, absolutely brilliant for Liverpool,
Yeah, the only thing I can say really about the whole affair was that it's kind of a case of Liverpool not really polishing off teams or really going up another gear when they get a man sent off. It happened against Chelsea, when that happened recently again. It happened where we went up a few goals. United was one. Pogba went off, and we could have gone and scored 7, 8, 9, but instead we just passed the ball around, controlled the game, saw the result. There was no real danger. I think maybe that's just the mindset of Liverpool. We have the 3 points already. Why get complacent about it? I mean, we saw what happened at Brighton when we were missing the midfielders last weekend. But that a really classy Liverpool turned up for the game the other night against Atletico, got the job done. Simeone had his complaints as per usual, tantrums up and down the line or whatever that he had to do. But I mean, I don't know if you think it was a sending off or not, but I mean there was studs on the back of Mane's heel, plus the slight we were talking about at the time descent, but we don't even think it was fully descent because really in the rules of the game the referee has to run to the player. The player has to stop, and stand still, but he didn't. He kept walking away when the referee called him, so that could be deemed as being disrespectful to the referee. But he got sent off, and when I look back, and I kind of rightly so, because any kind of injury like that on the most unprotected part of the foot, if it was almost a stamp. Plus, the thing he could have, like, I've noticed one day a few years back was a Wayne Rooney on somebody, and was it somebody on Wayne Rooney, and it slit down all the back of his leg in a similar scenario. So the referees since so they've clamped down and stuff like that. You don't see him at all too often. Like you mostly see the back of a shin on the back of a calf, like But you don't see the whole thing with the studs going on the back of the leg like that. So maybe not the referee was probably spot on to give the red card at the time. It was unlucky for Felipe, but their tactics, they were trying to get Mane sent off non-stop, no matter what, when he touched the ball. So Klopp made the right decision in bringing him off. Mane had no complaints. He knew what they were doing, as you said, shithousery at its best.
Yeah, I think the thing with Atletico is, like, I really admire them. I admire Simone. I admire what they do. Obviously, even though they're a massive club, they're the smaller club within the city that they come from.
The Everton of Madrid.
Yeah, I've heard that said before as well. But I look at some of the players that they have at their disposal, and I just think, God, if they did just play football and forgot about all the other stuff,
yeah.
it's kind of you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Like I think
Yeah.
they're brilliant at what they do, but sometimes I do wonder, like if they just put that aside for 1 minute,
Mm.
what would they be capable of? I think the thing that kind of left them down on the night was obviously the referee, in terms of the fact that he wasn't putting up with any messing, and unfortunately for them, it didn't go in their favor. You know.
Nah, it didn't. But like you have Simeone as your manager, it shithousery goes hand in hand. To be honest with you, but like okay, so he's a good manager and he plays a certain game, but there's no real. What I've noticed, there's no real style, kind of similar to what United are like at the moment. When we played against them, there's no real sense of style. There's no real style of play. It's just fellas in their positions just trying to do what they need to do, and they get pretty much opened up easily at the back. So I don't know, man. It's just that like Atletico Madrid, they won the league last season. They did it very good, but everybody else was kind of pretty, pretty terrible in the league, results wise and transition wise and all of that. And I'm delighted for Atletico Madrid because they're one of my favorite teams in La Liga. But I don't know. Like, do you think like somebody's going to come calling for Simeone, or would you have no interest in coming to England?
Be honest with you, like I always thought that like maybe an Arsenal or a Man
Mm,
United or someone like that would be in for him because look, there's no doubt about it. Like w- when you think back when we were younger and you would have seen him playing, and particularly the
mm,
incident against Beckham, like the way he was then, that team he has now mirrors him as a
yeah,
player, you know?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the way he was on the pitch. There's 11 different versions of him out in that field when they're playing football for Atletico. But yeah, look, there's no doubt about it. When you're playing in the Spanish league and you're up against Barcelona and
yeah,
you're up against Real Madrid and you don't have the same finances that they might have, etc. He does what he does, and he is successful in doing that as well.
yeah,
So I'd never doubt his talent. I'd never doubt him as a manager. He just has a certain style, and
yeah,
it's not a style I might always agree with, but I can also see the benefits of it,
yeah,
particularly when you're at a club that isn't the biggest club in the country. So I'd imagine if he was at an Arsenal, if he was at a Tottenham, if he was at a
yeah.
Man United, he would do really well there.
Mm,
And I think as well, there's probably some space in the Premier League for a manager like him, that could create a team, mold a team like he could, that could literally just go and batter lads left, right, and centre. You know, I think United would be a great fit for him. I think he would be perfectly capable going in there and doing a really good job. It would be an interesting choice, and he would be much better than obviously Ole, who's there at the minute. But
yeah.
whether United would ever go down that road and go after Diego Simone, I don't think it's going to happen.
Would you ever imagine, like, if Ole does lose his job at United, would you ever imagine Roy Keane being allowed back in there while Alex Ferguson's alive, kind of jobby?
There, I've heard whispers about it
Mm,
recently. Look, from my own point of view as a Corkonian and just a football fan in general, forget the fact that I follow Liverpool, I'd love to see Roy Keane there in the hot seat
it's his club.
just to see how it goes, you
Similar
know?
to Gerrard at Liverpool, kind of thing, eventually,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And do you know what? Like to give Gerard credit, he is at Rangers and he's doing his thing. He has
Mm,
a bit of success there, but it's Scotland at the end of the day.
yeah,
I'd nearly I think the thing with Roy Keane, and it's gone back a long while now, he had a bit of success at Sunderland. Okay, got him
yeah,
promoted. He didn't stay there. There was a bit of whatever, and
yeah,
he left. But like as far as I'm concerned, he didn't do a bad job. The Ipswich job was arguably a mistake. He
yeah,
probably should have taken it,
yeah,
but he did. Um, so just to get back to the point, would Roy Keane go to United? I think he would go there if he was given the chance. If let's say they got rid of Ole in the morning, right?
yeah,
Let's say they got rid of him in the morning, and they didn't have a candidate in mind to take the job.
yeah.
Why not throw Roy Keane in there for the rest of the season, just to see what happens? It couldn't be any worse than what Ole is doing at the moment, you know. Um,
Yeah,
the, the
I think when it comes out to Keane, there's an obvious stubbornness and there's how would you call it, a humble ego or a moral ego about Roy Keane, right? When he believes that something should be a certain way for certain people, that's the way it should be. There is no change in his mind about it. There is no him backing down about it. It's probably one of the main reasons why he had a falling out with Alex Ferguson, because Ferguson probably believed, at the end of the day, his legs were starting to go. He was going to go to Celtic. You could see he didn't last too long at Celtic, and before he finished up his career and stuff like that. So this Ferguson has points, and he knew when time was due up on a player, but in Keane's mindset, he wasn't ready to do any of that. So that's what his bravado comes out in his thing, and there's a lot of hatred there because of that. I've seen multiple stories in with him doing interviews and Fergie doing interviews and stuff like that, where they both kind of pretty much say the same thing um, about that. Whether they could, does Fergie have an actual say in who they bring in anymore? Do you know, I've never really noticed that, because if they did, then is he one of the reasons why Ole still has a job in there? Or is he one of the reasons that Keane would never be offered the job while he's alive? You know?
To be honest with you, I don't ever see Roy Keane going to Man United as
Yeah.
long as Alex Ferguson is
Mm.
whatever his role is there, whether he's some sort
Yeah.
of does he have an official role? I don't know. Is
I
he an
yeah.
ambassador or? I'm sure they speak to him.
Yeah.
I think he was the man that saved Ole a couple of weeks ago there as well.
Yeah.
So no, like I suppose to cut it short, I would never see Roy Keane going to Man United
Mm.
while Alex Ferguson is there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's a real shame, really, because the two of them pretty much galvanized United in the 90s through to the early 2000s, and that way, and made United kind of, whereas Alex Ferguson did what he did off the pitch, Roy Keane was, the absolute leader of United on the pitch, and it was something that you could, you would compare to Gerrard's passion for Liverpool as well, but without the winning mentality behind it, because Gerrard always had a winning mentality. He had the capability of going forward. He just never had really the team around him to do so. In that period when but United had the money, they had the backing, did
No,
everything.
I was just gonna say, I think another thing there as well when it comes to Roy Keane, right? And if I was the chairman of the club, I would give him the job, to be
Yeah,
honest with you, if I'd be saying anything. But when you look at the type of people who own football clubs,
yeah,
right? Chairman, they're generally businessmen,
yeah,
right? They generally do not like people like
yeah,
Roy Keane,
yeah.
who kind of speak the way they
But
speak, or they
speak their
speak their
mind.
mind.
Yeah.
They have no time for that sort of
One
person, or
second, I just have
that
to take a note.
carry on. And that's probably a big reason. It's probably a big chunk of the reason as to why he's never really been offered top jobs or other Premiership jobs, even.
Yeah,
Because if he was, he would have taken a job by now.
yeah,
But I can see why he's not been offered the jobs, if that
yeah.
makes sense.
I get you. See, at the moment, lads, we're just trying this. If you've noticed that the screen looks a small bit different on my end, it's because my camera is going directly into the link now, so Kev can't actually see me when we're talking. So when we're chatting away. So when I was putting up the cup, I realized when I was putting up the cup there, and I was just going to say, Kev, give me 1 second, I'm just taking a sippy sip, and it was a sippy sip out of my new mug. You see my new mug, haven't you, Kev?
I did see. I just can't see it now.
Mm.
Where
It's
did you get
just
that, actually?
Redmen TV.
I
The
bought.
store, yeah, I bought on Redmen TV. Same with this T-shirt, lovely T-shirt.
I
Go over
seen
to the
that because you
lads.
tagged Paul. What's his name?
Oh, Paul
Paul.
Machin, yeah,
Mitch.
Mitch, yeah, he's a lovely fella, man. I speak to him when I'm over there, and I jump onto the bike, onto the parts outside Anfield to have an old say once or twice in the past. So,
I
uh,
seen you on it, actually. I seen you on
so, and
Redman
we
too.
say hello to each other all the time, and the odd message every a couple of times a year and stuff like that. So he's a lovely fella. So is Chris and Ross and them boys as well over there. But so getting back to the point, so Roy Keane as a manager and Alex Ferguson is pretty much when pigs may fly over his dead body.
I don't think it's going to happen. As
Yeah,
much as I'd love to see it happen, from a neutral point of view, I don't think it's ever going to happen.
yeah, yeah. It's a real shame, like, because you like to see people of that area kind of bury the hatchet and kind of get on with it and just say, look, it's football now. Our personal things don't matter anymore. But at the same time, I can say, are United really going to go with two, let's say, I'm doing inverted commas, quotes, legends in a row as manager of United? Are they
I
just going
don't
to
think
go,
so.
nah,
I don't like if this doesn't work for all. I think that's it. And
Zidane
I don't think
maybe?
it's going to work anyway. Zidane, maybe. I don't know. Like whatever. Like he won a couple of Champions Leagues, like three, in fairness to him,
Yeah,
with Real Madrid. But that was Real Madrid, and it is a little bit different. If
yeah.
if Man United want to hire Zinedine Zidane again, I probably wouldn't feel too bad about that because I
Mm.
don't think he's going to be as good as a Pep or as good as a Klopp.
It's
So
very
whether
hard. It's completely different in the Premier League compared to any other league.
yeah,
And Mourinho post Chelsea has pretty much found that out. Post first spell at Chelsea, brilliant, called a special ball and called it this. Went off, did things now in Italy, easier leagues, was able to do it. His defensive style of play with counter attacking, it worked. It was still in that kind of where Italian football was way behind the Premier League at the time in forms of standards and levels of fitness and new inventive player positions. that were never seen before on pitches. Because I mean, they have the Premier League in its type of football. Right down to even the lowest team has like invented new positions and new styles of playing. And like Bobby Firmino at Liverpool is he's part and parcel of that, being like the poster boy for the false nine, if you get me. So in a way that you don't really need a number 10 in there anymore, and you don't really need a striker in there because the wingers do the job for you, and Bobby just does the donkey work, really, you know?
I think the false nine has been done, but I think the way Firmino
Yeah,
does it, it's a
completely
bit
different.
unique, you know.
Yeah, he drops
He has
deeper.
kind of made it his own.
Yeah, he drops deeper. He's completely unselfish when it comes to playing. He's everybody's kind of go-to poster boy for what you would think of a false nine when you look at it.
Difference is in the fact of the way Salah and Mane are allowed to score
Yeah,
goals. Firmino is
yeah,
sacrificing himself to allow
yeah,
that to happen.
yeah.
And I haven't seen that work to that level in many other teams. So yeah, Bobby, particularly in the English Premier League, is definitely the poster boy for that position at the minute.
Yeah, exactly. So Atletico 2-0, straight through. Uh, Getting back to that kind of point, we've the group one. There's nobody going to catch us, but we have the top spot. Can we just play the weaker sides now, or do the owners kind of say, oh wait, do we go for the 2.4 million to win, or do we go for But I think the weaker sides can beat any of the rest of the teams in that group, to be honest with you. So I would play like my next run out would pretty much be Kanate, Gomez, Nico Williams, Simicas, and in the midfield you could bang any of the lads in there that are available on that midfield. Jones probably to give him a bit more of a workout if he still hasn't got that problem with his eye. Millie could be back from his hamstring injury at that stage. You have a chance to put Minamino maybe a bit further forward in that midfield. Ox would definitely play in that position. And then you got Divock and who else would you play that? You could play Divock up front. Ox could play on the wings up there. Will Salah want to just keep going to get his record going? So you might have Salah
Rest him.
wanting to play.
I wouldn't care what he
I
plays
know,
against.
yeah, I would want to rest
Take,
them all day
take
long. Yeah,
games in the Champions League to experiment with a couple of players,
yeah,
rest a couple of players.
yeah,
I know it's 2.5 million win or whatever,
yeah,
but if you can use that to bring through any one of the young lads, that's
yeah.
going to save you a lot more than 2.5
Look,
million.
if you win, the money's gone up. I think this year for the winning the Champions League. If you were to get the lads rested and all done and dusted, and all of a sudden you're in coming in. Let's say like we go through against Leicester, and all of a sudden you're in a semi final of a League Cup. You're in already in the knockout stages of the Champions League, and at that period you've also played your second string squad to bring them up to a match fitness level that they could play in the first string squad. You get me? It's just bonuses after bonuses after bonuses all around you. So um for me I would definitely play the second string squad with a couple of handy first teamers that are fit enough to play in there, or that have been rested previously in the last couple of people that haven't gone out to international duty and stuff like that. So Bobby won't be going on international duty with a hamstring injury. I don't know what other way it's going to work that way. um so yeah, like play with the group as one, play the youths, and just get through. Because for me, now that this part of the Champions League is kind of finished with, we'll do the watch along and we'll have a look at the players that Klopp does put out. But but call a spade. Just play the kids.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Whoever's registered, play the kids. That's it.
Yeah,
So we have kind of done the Champions League there now. I know Ronaldo saved United again the other night for a draw at Atalanta.
yeah.
City had a pretty much comfortable win in the end of it against Club Brugge. Chelsea, I did say to you, Chelsea was only going to scrape that one goal
Okay,
against
yeah,
Malmo. Yeah, I did say it the other night. I said it's that kind of game for Chelsea where they'll either put out a basic squad, or they'll struggle to kind of get out of gear to play a team like that. It was just one of these games you could see happening, and everybody else just kind of did their job really. The highlight, or the surprising highlight team of Sheriff, I think, ended up losing in the end of it. It was a three. I couldn't hear you there now, Kev. You
it
bring up your mic.
was 3-1 to Inter Milan, I
Was
believe.
it 3-1 to Inter Milan? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. In the end, so
yeah.
they were 1-0 up, all right, they weren't they? But they 1-0 up.
It could have been, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, so there you go. Champions League. For us now, they've still got the next 4 weeks worth of worrying about playing, and we're done and dusted pretty much now. So it's nice to be in this position for the first time in a while. I know we did comfortably well, I think, last year in the group stages as well, but No, but before that, we've never had it kind of easy. Red Star Belgrade in the year we won it, losing away, just not getting the right results either side of games. But now we seem to be pulling out the results.
Yeah,
And the only kind of dip that we've really had was against Brighton, but that was pretty much due to not being able to cover the injury in midfield. So, injuries have cost us last season in what we wanted to do, but we still ended up getting third, and now we're comfortable. So, Champions League done and dusted. Bob's uncle, let's move into the next round and see who we get.
yep, absolutely, absolutely. So what you want to talk about next? Want to talk about the fixtures this weekend? Maybe a few predictions, or
Could do. Yeah, could do. So we've got, I'm putting them up here as I'm looking at them. Right. So tonight we have Southampton and Aston Villa,
yeah,
which is it's a strange one, really.
it is a strange one. It is. I think kind again the small, but I've been looking at Southampton. I think their performances have been not too bad
Yeah, they've improved a bit.
recently, and they've picked up a couple of points.
Mm.
Villa, maybe not
Yeah,
so
they're
much.
just they're a bit on a yo-yo, really, aren't they? They're kind of winning
Mm.
one week, losing the next week. Yeah. So
Yeah. I like personally, I think that's going to be close.
yeah,
I think it's going to be a close game. I would fancy Southampton to
yeah,
scrape a win
because they're
against
at home.
maybe
Because yeah, they're at home.
one
Your
or
man
two
bro,
one sort of thing,
your man bro is Danny Ings injured again.
Oh Jesus, he's as far as I'm concerned, that man is always injured. I have no
Yeah.
idea what his
So,
current
but
status
your
is.
man Bro has playing well. Liveramento's playing well. There's people
Yeah,
that are pulling up their socks and playing for Hasenhüttl and bringing Southampton out of the rut that they were in at the start of the season. So
yeah.
like they got their first win there about 3 weeks ago or something like that, and then I think they've just like been pulling out results since. So at the moment on form, you would say Southampton in that. So what would
Same,
you say
same.
yourself? What you
Yeah,
think?
I would say Southampton 1-0 or 2-1. That would be my best guesstimate at the moment. Um, I'd go with that.
Alright, so I think yeah, maybe I'll say if they score early, I would say 2-0 to Southampton, but if they don't score early and it goes on, it'll be a draw. So I mean
Yeah.
that's the only way I can think of it.
Okay.
Right, the next one
Big
is
one in the morning.
the big one in the morning. So United and City.
Mm.
Are we Manchester United supporters tomorrow? Or what's the story? And you know,
I think we are. I
Yeah,
think
to
we
be
are.
honest with you, yeah, because they're going
I
to
think we
need
are.
they're going to need to do something after Spurs last weekend to
Yeah.
maintain their. That was just two bad teams playing each other, and one was worse than the other one. To be honest with you, and Spurs were lucky there. I was watching the Spurs game against Vitesse Arnhem as well,
Excellent. Yeah.
and they were 3-0 up, and all of a sudden they dropped two goals straight away, and you can see in Conte's face he's got a bit of work to do there with Spurs. Um, United managed to get back in against Atalanta with Ronaldo helping him again. He got a brace the other night, didn't he? I think it was a
Yeah.
brace. But he's doing it in the Champions League which he does find scoring against weaker European opposition. He's always found it easier, and that's where he got a lot of goals in his past. But you're talking Man City here, United normally get the edge over City. Well, in this kind of fixture, even down through the years, um, I think Man City had one big win or something in the past few years, and that was about it. I can't see. I'm just going to go with what I want, and I want United to beat them. To be honest with you, or I take a draw all day long as well. City
Yeah.
dropping
To
points
be
left, right,
honest
and
with
centre.
you, I think United have had some, good enough results in this fixture over the
Yeah,
past couple of years. Um, again, I would be of a similar view in terms that it would suit me for United to get the win. I don't think United are going to be any big threat to anyone.
yeah,
In terms of going for the title this year. So if
yeah,
City can, if they can take points off of City, that's going to suit Liverpool down to the ground.
yeah,
Again, I don't want Ole to lose the job, so City losing would definitely suit me as a Liverpool supporter, and that might be being a bit greedy or whatever.
yeah.
It is at Old Trafford as well, so I'm expecting a good
Mm,
atmosphere. The other thing then, kind of my head would be saying, City lost last week, so you'd be expecting a response.
yeah.
I can't see City losing. I can't as much as I want them to. So I think maybe a draw.
A draw for
Would
me would shoot us down to the
Yeah,
ground. It would stop United's momentum, and it would still keep City hovering where they
and it
are.
would
Yeah,
keep Ole in the job as well for that
yeah,
little
it
while.
would. It would. So yeah, we thinking draw, United win or City or a draw there would be perfect. You don't really want
Yeah,
City getting the momentum back in the win. I think if they don't get a result here, City are really going to be concentrating on the Champions League again, knowing
yeah.
that they're going to have to be playing catch up
So,
in the league. Um, and now they're knocked out for the first time in years of the League Cup, so that's already their initial. Well, in the last 10 years, that was their go-to trophy that they would nearly always win every season. Hence why they're after catching us up with us in our record, you know. But now they're out
yeah.
of it this season, so it gives somebody else a chance to win it for a change. So, it's no longer the Man City Cup of the last 10 years. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I think so. I think that look, a draw or a win for United away would be good for us. If I'm talking with my head, I can see a draw all over it for some reason. If I'm talking with what I want, I would like to see United keeping Ole in the job for a bit longer and, doing what they're doing whilst also halting City at the same time. So yeah, the next
Absolutely.
one we've got is Chelsea v Burnley. So
Chelsea v Burnley.
Burnley had a great
Okay.
result last week against
They did.
Brentford. Three.
They did. Chelsea have been very impressive
Mm,
this year, though.
yeah,
Um,
they've been grinding up results.
Home is it Chelsea?
Chelsea's at home.
Yeah, I'd have to go for Chelsea.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be by 2 goals. I
yeah.
think Chelsea all day long. They've been very impressive. Tuchel has them drilled well. They're playing good football. They're very efficient. They're scoring from all over the team. Chelsea by 2 or 3 if it's at Stamford Bridge for me.
Yeah, I'm thinking just because it's at Stamford Bridge, I'd go for that again. Hopefully, Burnley have some sort of momentum from last week, and they'll go in guns blazing, probably score early, force Chelsea to come out, and then maybe what's his name will stick on the 10-man backline that he tries to do against Liverpool all the time, Sean Dyche, and we see a frustrated Chelsea kind of maybe nick a draw or do something like that. That's the kind of thing I'd hope to see. Um, and tiring themselves out in that kind of way before the break, and just
Yeah,
just allow us to kind of come back on level terms coming into this final international break before next year, and then go all guns blazing for the second half, as they say, of the Christmas period, and going into the second half of the season
yeah.
could be a real show opener. But we need teams like Burnley and this and that to take points off of Chelsea,
Would
because
be lovely. The
yeah,
draw would be lovely
yeah, it
if
would.
Burnley could
But you
manage that.
can't see it but on Chelsea's current form, you just can't see them not winning the game. Um,
100%.
where it is.
Put the mortgage on it. Watch now Chelsea will lose 5-0, but
Yeah,
that's
there
what
you
I'm saying.
go. Okay, so I'll listen to Kev lads and put your mortgage on it. Right. Crystal Palace and Wolves.
Crystal Palace and Wolves. Oh, God, that one is a draw written all over it, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, Crystal Palace have been playing well. They beat Man City last
Yeah,
week. They've been doing well. Wolves have been playing well.
yeah.
Jimenez is back in the score. They pretty much made it look easy against Everton last week. Um, I know, yeah,
Who's that going for that one?
it's Crystal Palace at home for that one. But
Palace.
they're not.
Okay.
Yeah, they're more. But the thing about Palace is that they play better away from home than what they do at home, which is, it's a weird one. That's because half the time Palace, huh?
Zaha's brilliant. Zaha was
Zaha's
brilliant.
brilliant, but the problem is
Yeah.
that when Crystal Palace aren't in the Premier League, most of their fans are United fans anyway. Until they come back into the Premier League and then they switch back to Palace or Arsenal, or from Arsenal United to Palace. They're notoriously that way, like,
Only
um, but
5 miles from Manchester, right?
yes. Well, like Crystal Palace and Wolves, it has draw written all over it. I don't know. Do you know
I'd
what?
go. I'd go 1-1 draw with that
Would you?
if I
I'm
was going
going
head of the block.
if if that Edward fella is scoring goals and Jimenez is scoring goals, it's going to be probably like a 2-2 or 3-3. Um, but yeah, like that was the thing about the game, the last game with Chelsea, is that your man Cornet is doing so well for Burnley that he could nick up with a goal at any time inside that game against Chelsea. So that's the reason why I was thinking they could nick a draw. But anyway, Palace and Wolves are going to be. I'm going to have to say draw as well. Yeah,
Okay,
I just
so we
don't
go
think
draw.
I don't think Wolves are all there on defence. I don't think Palace are all there on defence yet. And I'm thinking they're just going to leak too many goals doing
Yeah,
what they do.
fair
Right.
enough. Fair
So
enough.
Brentford and Norwich. Should we even bother? Just say Brentford.
Brentford,
I don't care that
obviously. Yeah,
Brentford had a bit of a dip. They're a bit tired, looking a bit
yeah.
leggy, but I think they'll beat Norwich. All right.
Norwich are shocking. They're shocking. And
Yeah.
look, that should be an easy win for Brentford. Unless something goes totally wrong, I see them winning that by 2 or 3 goals again,
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah. So that's yeah. There's no even point even worry. But we're the same every week now with Norwich. Unless Norwich come out now and they'll just do something like nuts, which is like win 5 or 6-0 against somebody randomly, and then they're just like, oh, okay, so we'll have to talk
They
about it.
might have one game, but
Yeah,
it's not
that's not gonna happen.
consistently, And I'd imagine morale at that club, and particularly when the team isn't up,
It's
isn't
not.
great at the moment. So look, they're going to
It's not.
lose, and that's
Right,
it.
right. So Brighton and Newcastle.
Oh well,
The
I would. Oh, who's at home for that?
Brighton,
Right. Well, look, even if it was at St James Park, I'd still fancy Brighton.
Brighton. Yeah,
But definitely, I would fancy Brighton. I don't think they'll score a lot of goals. Maybe two. Fancy Newcastle to get a goal. Maybe 2-1.
I'm
Maybe
not
2.
expecting much from Newcastle until February.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
To be
Look,
honest with you,
they'll get a few signs in January.
yeah,
The mood will pick up. Everybody will be
they'll
excited.
probably just survive the drop and they'll drive on from there. If they do go down, it's going to be a savage rebuilding to try and get all that money available, but to try and get players into play at the championship level. So
Yeah.
that's going to be their priorities to see what they can spend big time in January. And first of all, they got Eddie Howe in, didn't they?
Has that been
I
confirmed?
don't know. That's what I haven't thought of if Eddie Howe is going to come in, then are they really preparing for the championship with that kind of manager, or are they setting their sights higher? I don't know.
They'll want Eddie to keep them up, like no doubt about it.
Yeah, I don't know. But look, I'd still go for Brighton in that game because they did play good football. They showed us last week what they were made of when they weren't being torn apart. And at the start,
Just checked it there, and
yeah,
it's coming up on the Guardian, and this is only 3 minutes ago
yeah,
that Eddie Howe they've reached a deal. So Eddie Howe
okay,
set for Newcastle.
okay. So yeah, I just wanted to see if that
So
was
it
going to go
looks
ahead.
like that is happening. So that's on the Guardian 3 minutes ago.
So
But
he's
I'm
what they're
happy.
going to do is that they're going to pull out a load of stops and sign top quality players from the championship and a couple of elder statesmen in
Yeah,
in in good players probably in
I'd be
January.
surprised to see like Coutinho or someone going there.
Yeah, yeah, they can probably get him
Stuff like that can happen.
yeah, to rebuild around. He would be a player that in the Premier League that you would build a team around. But
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, but look, he learned his lesson going to Barcelona. So yeah, Brighton for me.
Yeah,
Tomorrow
100%.
that's the evening kickoff. That's the evening kickoff. That's the last of the Saturday games that are there anyway for the weekend starting off for this EPL round 11 before the international break. Right, the next game is at 2 o'clock on Sunday, and it's Agent Rafa and Everton versus Conte at Spurs.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. No,
Yeah.
Rafa and Everton have been not having such a great time recently, so you would expect them to bounce back at some point. For them, they'd be hoping it sooner rather than later. The defense has looked very shaky.
Yeah.
Conte is probably looking at that, and I know he hasn't had much time to work with Spurs, but they still have some good attacking options. So he might be thinking there's an opportunity there. But do I think Tottenham will? Is it at Goodison Park as well?
It's
Is it
at Goodison Park.
at Goodison Park as well? Sunday kind of has a draw written all over it again.
Yeah.
Maybe it could go either way. This could go either way. It could be a mistake, be a defensive mistake by Everton. I'd have a hard time putting my money on either one of those teams now to walk away from that with a victory. A draw could even suit either
Yeah.
team as well. Um,
It's
no
pretty
shame in
much for
Conte
the
walking
major
away
for
with a draw.
yeah, but for the amount of games that are on this weekend, there's a lot of them that have draw written all over them because they're very similar teams and very similar placements, in the way they're playing and very similar form. Um, Conte could be a factor. Like Spurs were impressive the other night against Vitesse Arnhem, but then
Yeah.
it shows. Then they became Spurs, if you get me. Afterwards, and they let in a couple of goals. They were open at the back. I think Conte, first and foremost, he's a good defensive manager when he wants to solidify that because I can see that's the first place he's going to go after to shut up shop and he's going to shut that shop up fast and then he's going to worry about what they do up front after that because that's kind of what he did at Chelsea, it's what he did elsewhere, and very similar in the old Mourinho, but he's got more ideas on how to play certain players in positions that can cut off passes and stuff like that. So it works a bit more it works well for him a little bit more than what it did for Mourinho. So yeah, that was everything as far as I'm thinking draw as well at that. Um,
I'm going to say draw, but if anyone's going to nick it, just for the crack, I'll go with Tottenham.
Spurs, yeah, yeah. Right,
Just by the odd goal.
Leeds United and Leicester City on at the same time on Sunday. Leeds at home.
Uh, I know Leeds won last match, but they weren't that impressive.
Mm.
Um,
But
and Leicester,
they're on a dip, aren't they? Whatever's going on with them.
they are,
Yeah.
they are. Um, who did they play in their last match?
Is it Arsenal?
Arsenal. They lost
Yeah,
Arsenal,
it's
didn't
just yeah,
they?
yeah.
But they
They
had a
lost.
few chances well themselves.
They did.
I'd, who's at home?
It's Leeds at home, but I'd still take Leicester to win it for me.
I would. I'd go for Leicester. Put again. I'm going to say 2-1 in around that bracket.
Yeah,
Leicester have to start, up in their game a wee bit. I
yeah,
do think Leicester are a better team than Leeds as
yeah.
well. Um, yeah,
Defensively, anyway.
yeah.
Um,
I would. I'd go for Leicester in that one. But there'd only be the odd goal in it again. I'd say 2-1 to Leicester.
I've always had like a special spot in my heart for Leeds,
Mm.
um, but no, I'm a Leicester.
Like it should be a good game of football because
Yeah,
both teams are well able to attack.
yeah, yeah,
So you never know.
yeah. So yeah, Leicester City, I think for me as well. I think
Yeah,
Leeds are just too open at the back. They're still missing a
yeah.
lot, a good few of their
Missing
players.
two players, yeah.
So they're not, until they get back, they'll have a good second half of the season. They'll start driving on. They get results against bigger teams and stuff like that. But and they'll survive the drop. But yeah, no, Leicester for me in this one. Right,
Yeah.
the same time again on Sunday. Arsenal are at home to Watford.
Arsenal are home to Watford.
Mm.
Okay, so
Two
Arsenal
teams
again,
that are
well,
playing. Two teams that
they're
are on
throwing
form at the
pace.
moment. Since
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Again, look, there's not really complicated about that game. I don't think. On paper, I go for Arsenal all day long, particularly the way they've been over the last couple of weeks. Finally, they're showing a bit of form. The team is looking well. They're playing together. Um, Again, I don't think there'll be much in it. Maybe Arsenal by 2 goals. Maybe a 3-1. Maybe a 3-1. I can definitely see Watford scoring, but I think Arsenal will have too much for them on the day.
yeah. Like the Ranieri factor is starting to kick in now. Watford a bit. They're playing a better style of football. They showed that evident at Everton. They've upped their game a bit better, and it could ultimately save them at the end of the season from the
Yeah,
drop. Maybe at the cost of Newcastle, or in that level. But I mean, obviously Norwich are going to go down, but who's going to follow? Who'd be the team that would follow them down? And at the moment you can't see in current form. Past Watford and Newcastle maybe being the other two teams that could possibly go down, but
yeah.
um, we see. I even touted Crystal Palace at the start of the season, when I was
Yeah,
talking
but
to you,
I think they're going to be okay.
they're going to be flying because I mean this is before Vieira kind of came in. I was there to put a stamp in it post Hodgson. So yeah, so we've Arsenal Watford. I think it's an Arsenal win as well. To be honest with you,
I think so.
unless Ismail Assar turns up and has a worldie of a game, um, which he can do against teams like Arsenal and which he's done to us in the past. But yeah, I can't see that. And the final game of the weekend is where we're going to kick in, and it's us. So it's West Ham versus Liverpool, away at the Olympic Stadium, as they call it. Is it called the Olympic Stadium? Is that what they call
Called
it?
the Olympic Stadium,
I
is
think
it?
something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Okay,
I don't know.
okay.
They didn't really
Uh,
call it like New Upton Park or something, did they? I don't know. So
don't know.
I don't know.
If I was to look at it from, okay, so there's a couple of ways of looking at it, right? So West Ham, I've been very impressed with them
Mm,
this season. They're fourth in the table, playing good football.
mm.
David Moyes has them playing as a unit. They're
Yeah,
very hard to beat. Um, I've been shocked, actually, to be honest with you, in some ways. But look, they're there. If I took the Liverpool hat off for a moment, like I could see West Ham getting points out of this. Now, what I mean by points is 1 point. I could see them pulling off a draw.
yeah,
Um, from Liverpool's point of view, if they do have ambitions, like there would have been a time in Premier League history, in Alex Ferguson's time and things like that, where you're going, there's a team like West Ham are playing well. We're going to this stadium.
yeah,
A draw might be good enough.
yeah,
There was a time in the Premiership where 5 losses was probably the maximum you could afford in a season,
yeah.
and you could get 80 something points or whatever. But since Pep and Klopp and these lads
Mm,
have come in, teams now have to get 90 plus points to win the league.
yeah.
So Liverpool have to look at this game and they have to say to themselves, okay, West Ham are doing well, but we are the better team
Mm,
on paper,
yeah.
and in reality, we are the better team. So we have to go there and we have to look at this as an opportunity to get 3 points. We need to bounce back against the result again in the Brighton game as well,
Mm,
because 2 draws in a row, that's not going to look good for us.
yeah.
That's too many draws this season
Yeah, yeah.
already. So yeah, from a Liverpool point of view, we have to go down there. We have to be strong. We have to get at them from the very start. Show that we're the better team. Impose ourselves like we did against Atletico during the week, and we have to go for 3 points. From the neutral point of view, if I was looking at this, I go, look, West Ham have a good opportunity to get a point here at the very least. Who knows? They might nick a win, but I think Liverpool will win this. I don't think it's going to be by much. I think the thing that Liverpool have to look out for is if they get a lead, like an early lead, like they have done in previous games, is that they have to cement that lead then
Yes.
by getting the second and the third goal,
Yeah.
because we cannot give them any hope
Yeah.
within that game. We can't give them chances. If we have chances, and we've talked about this before, Kev, and we've seen it in many games, that when we're getting opportunities, particularly early in the match, that we have to put these away and put
Yeah.
these guys to bed. And if we don't do that, then there is a danger that West Ham can come back into this and at the
Yeah.
very least get a point. And I hope when we're doing the watch along on Sunday that we're not having this conversation again. Let's
Yeah,
put it
yeah,
that
yeah.
way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think exactly the same. You hit the nail on the head there with most of that there. With all of that actually. If I just add to it, there was like even if I'm going with a neutral hat on, West Ham have played well over the last couple of seasons. To be honest with you, I think it was like maybe 3 seasons ago where people were complaining about the new stadium. They weren't getting results. There was a lot. They sounded really pretty much like Arsenal fans did for the last few seasons, sitting outside complaining at the ground, doing all that kind of stuff. But last season, Moyes has come in. He's cemented them. He's done well against there. But we've even at our worst days and our worst teams, like 3-2 last season with it, we ground out that result, and we're missing half our spine throughout that most of that game, and Southampton are not how can I say, they're not the speediest team in the world. They're getting results and they're doing that, but they're not speedy. They're not speedy in the counter attack. I watched them the other night against Genk. Was it last night? Sorry, last night against Genk, and I was watching it live. And if it wasn't for Ben Rama, doing a few things special in there, because Genk were very, very average. They played well against West Ham, but they were very, very average. And they were beating West Ham up until and I think West Ham went ahead, and then they came back and scored again. It was I think it was an own goal at the end, and I'm not too sure even if did Hammers go on and win it. I didn't see the end of it. I can't hear you. Then okay, if you're gone off.
Okay, what
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of a side did West Ham play? Did they drop
They
players or
played.
did
No, Mark Noble came in now, and the likes of that. They dropped one or two players, but Antonio was still in the pitch. He looked knackered. And
really?
yeah, he looked tired, man. When he was playing. That's the first thing that I noticed. He was stretching for balls. He was doing whatever. And I'm like, are they overplaying him? They played Matsuaku. They played Ben Rama. They played Areola. He was beaten for the first time since coming into a West Ham um, team. There was an
Okay.
awful own goal scored from a header back over the keeper. Ben Rama got a couple of goals, I think, in it. But it's even though they were away from home, it was a very average display. And if that was against City or Liverpool or any the way we played against United in the interpassing around, I think that would have taken them apart easily. So
Okay.
they're doing very, very well, and they're playing well, and they're attacking well, and they're dominating well in the air when they're playing against teams. And you know when you can get people like Ben Ram and that on the ball, they can cause damage. But I cannot, even from a neutral point of view and outside Liverpool boys' point of view, I can't see them beating Liverpool.
Mm.
If they would have, if we didn't have Fabinho or Thiago back, I would have been
This is the
worried.
100%. I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I was going to reference that. Like
yeah,
two things that like I would think off the top of my head that we have going in our favour is that they played last night
yeah.
in the UEFA Cup, and we know what that does to
Yeah,
teams when they're playing on the
completely
weekend.
different looking Liverpool side in how we control the game, like with
And the
Fabinho
other
and that.
thing then is Fabinho back in the middle,
Yeah,
who is an awesome presence for us, and he just gives us that little bit more shorty in the middle. They're not going to cut through us,
yeah,
through the centre of the park like Brighton did
yeah,
last week, with Fabinho in the middle of the park there,
yeah, yeah,
As I believed, I think it was Pep Linders called him the lighthouse, and
yeah.
you know what? It's a perfect name for him
Yeah, he
because
sees
that's what
everything.
he does.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
sees everything.
absolutely.
He opens everything up. He can see as he's telling them. He's actually, even though he looks kind of very calm or whatever, like with the same facial features, as he's passing balls, people are saying that he's telling people where the ball should be going next because he's seen how they open and how they're making runs and stuff like that. So he's telling Trent and Rob, "Oh, this is what you have on ahead of you. If you can't see it, I can tell you and I can see it." So
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a different kettle of fish. We've been tending to do well away at West Ham. in the last number of seasons. Um, it's not too dissimilar a team that time when we were in the orange kits there 2 or 3 seasons ago that we went and we demolished and got a few goals there. It's a very, very similar setup there, except for with the additions of Ben Rama. And, Antonio has been on fire this season. And he does tend to score a goal against Liverpool when he does play. But if you have our lads, as long as we've got Fabinho and Thiago on the pitch, along with a Henderson or something like that, I think we'd be perfectly fine. I think we go there. West Ham will say, all right, we've got Liverpool here today, and then understand that they'll probably go and win the next few games that they play again. But this one might be kind of like one that might get away from them, if you get me. So that's the only mindset I can think about. The Klopp has got the mindset to go in and beat anybody that we play. He's not going to let the Brighton game happen again. 2-2 last week. He's learned his lesson from not bringing on a covering midfielder instead of bringing on an attacking midfielder. Because even though we were 2-0 up, you probably would have thought, yeah, we're going to go on and do it. But it allowed Brighton to have their sitting in players in front of the defenders, a load of room, and it causes so much hassle that's not going to happen this time now with a Henderson or a Fabinho or a Thiago just roaming around those positions. Because that's who I would play. If you wanted a tricky enough player up front, would you play Oxlade-Chamberlain against West Ham in this? I probably wouldn't, because when Ox tends to start sometimes, he's a little bit complacent against teams that are, unless he gets enough room. If he doesn't get enough room, he's a little, pass backy all the time. He's actually more. Henderson used to get complaints an awful lot about passing back too much, but Ox actually does it about 10 times more than what Henderson does when he's stuck in positions that he can't get out of. So I mean, which is fair enough, but I can't see anything but a Liverpool win on Sunday as long as we've got the team available to us that's available now, and that was
You know,
available the other night.
and another thing there as well is
Yeah,
David Moyes. I just think he's psychologically beaten by Liverpool over
yeah,
the years. Like he'd take the draw now,
yeah,
straight away.
yeah.
So you know,
It'll
like
be
to be honest,
it's away from
I
home. Allison's been on top form Allison's been on top form in recent games. He's been saving us from teams that should have probably scored more against us. Um, in moments where we've been lacking defensively in a mindset, but look, it's if Allison's distribution is on point, if Trent has the game that he did against Atletico against, he kind of dipped for a game or so before that. He was unbelievable. I would like to see that the rest that Andy Robbo got the other night would allow him to come in and just drive. Because Klopp says himself, everybody's going to have a burnout period where they're just going to be tired, not doing what they're doing. I think Andy's in the middle of that. I think Andy, like Milner, will run until their legs break and fall off underneath them. They just don't care, right? That's the mindset they had. When Robbo came into the team first, he said after his first training session he was puking non-stop at the side of the training field, and a clap called him a little pussy or a little woman or something like that. I know what he called him. But and he said from then on he just drove on and cemented his spot then. But he's got a rest now. He's after getting a rest now for the for the Atletico Madrid game and the Champions League. Klopp is utilising the squad really well. He's making surprise changes where you think he wouldn't make. He did it against United, and we got a fantastic result there. He's done a couple of times against City where Milner would start over people that you mightn't more likely see start in a game against City. Because he just wanted that control. He's like, I want to control the midfield and the other. We've got that back in Thiago and Fabinho. If you've got Fabinho and Thiago on the pitch and just allow Hendo to free roam, you'll see him having a much better game, and you'll see Thiago and Fabinho just controlling that midfield, like
did you
just
see did you see Thiago the other night with his like little lovely passes and
yeah, it's a joy.
brilliant, isn't it?
It's a
Brilliant.
joy. It's a joy to watch. But like
Mm.
how fit you can keep Thiago going on, because he's not really had the best ever since that injury in his first game against Everton. He's pretty much had a bad run of it with that same kind of recurring injury. But
Yeah.
when he comes on, he does the job. He's there. I'm glad. I'm absolutely 100 million% glad that we've got him back when we're after losing. What is it at the moment? We've lost Jones. We've lost Milner. We've lost Ox. We've lost for Bobby. We've lost Naby. Yeah, you said Naby there, is it? I couldn't hear you there for a second. Yeah, so we've lost all of those guys in the period of like 2 weeks, let's say. And so it's a welcome change that we've got the lads available to us now. Hopefully Jones will be available with whatever issue it is with the eye. I don't know what it is, but hopefully he is. And if we're ever stuck against certain teams, as I said it last week, just bang Neco Williams in the back line and throw Trent up in the right hand side of that midfield if you have to, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
it's easily doable. If Klopp can trust there, he can come back and cover easily then with Nico. So
100%.
yeah. So me, I think as long as we score early, it's going to force West Ham out. And then I can see us win it by a couple of goals. To be honest with you, a 3-1 or a
Yeah,
3-0 hopefully.
yeah,
We'll
yeah. No, look, I'd agree. And look, yeah, I think we're going to get to 3 points. I think we have to get to 3 points. I don't want to sound so negative so early in the season, but
yeah,
after having the draw last week, I think 3 points is vital.
yeah,
To take that
it
into the
is.
break, that's happening as well. It's going to be good for confidence, good for morale.
Yeah,
And look, just hopefully we can do that. West Ham are going to be dangerous.
yeah,
Give them the respect that they deserve, but at the same time, let's cut them apart when we can.
yeah. Exactly. So I'd say that's about it, Kev. For what we've got anyway for this show, we've looked at most of the teams for the weekend. We've had a look back at the Atletico game and the Champions League games. Look at Newcastle's potential new appointment if it hasn't gone through by now, by the time we're talking. And what we're hoping to see over the next few weeks. We've got a couple of hefty games coming up with Arsenal, who's an on-form Arsenal, I think, after West Ham.
Hmm.
Uh, and then but we're at home, which is luckily enough, so maybe we can put a halt to that form. And I think Arsenal fans in their own way will be kind of happy with the way that their form has gone since the
Yeah,
Spurs game, because I think that's when it really turned around, when they got the result against Spurs, and then it kind of turned around for them, and then they went on a run of games where they were winning them all, and hopefully we can shut that up when they come to Anfield in a couple of weeks' time. But we look for we look towards that anyway. There's a few tough games coming up over the next few weeks. I mean, Chelsea have to go to Leicester in the next game after this, and hopefully it's a Leicester that's back on form against them to turn and take a few points off them. United have to go to a semi-in-form Watford, and then you're talking about Arsenal coming to us, and Everton then have to go and annoy Man City in their own
yeah.
backyard. And so like there's potential good games coming up for us, but we're kind of starting to hit. Besides Arsenal, we're starting to hit probably a better
Easier patch.
an easier patch of runs coming up. I mean, West Ham have to go to City straight after. They've had Everton at City, and you'd have the Chelsea and United are straight after Chelsea's had Leicester. So
Yeah.
hopefully these teams can just start knocking points off each other, and especially just slow Chelsea down a small bit. Not no, no, it's just that they've had Chelsea have pretty much just played us and maybe City. Was it? Did they play City?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, they
Did you?
basically. Yeah, I think so. I think so. If I see back when we have a look back at that, I think that they played City, early days as well as us. Chelsea. Yeah, it was. Oh no, they lost to City. That was their last for the season. So City
Oh
beat
my
them.
God. Oh
So,
no.
but that's what I'm saying. Chelsea have not played any other big sides in the league. Maybe besides Arsenal, did they play Arsenal? I'm not too sure. But it was Aston Villa. They beat 3-0. They drew 1-1 with us. And what do they have there? Arsenal they beat 2-0. So it was that right. So if you're talking top recognized top side, they've beaten Arsenal and they've lost the City.
Yeah, yeah,
So and
yeah. No,
that's they haven't had any other big games since. It's all been your, as you say, now coming up, your Burnleys, your Brentfords, they've not really had a big test as of yet, when it comes up to the thing. But now they have. I mean, they've got United coming up. They've got Leicester coming up. A lot of them away from home. So hopefully they can be slowed down a small bit to come back down at a pace, and we can start taking off a small bit ourselves.
I've no doubt that they will. They've had a great start, but look, they'll have some tough
They've
results. And
yeah
I think for them, then, right, if I was, in their camp, for them, it's all about how they bounce back from that. So they
yeah
haven't been tested yet, I suppose. And when they do get tested, it's all about how they bounce back from it, and that will show the real character of that
like
team,
yeah
of that squad, of
the
that manager.
next games are Burnley, Leicester, is it United and West Ham.
Okay, so a couple of tough games there,
Yeah,
you know.
there is.
Um, and
So
and particularly whatever with the Burnley one, the three after that,
Leeds
there
then
could be
after that,
points
but
lost there.
yeah, so they have Leeds in between that and Everton again. So you're talking that's the next few games. Would Everton be back on form by then? You don't know. It's just it's tough one to call because you're heading. This is all the Christmas period that I'm looking at here. They were away to Wolves, whereas we have. I think around that period, I think we're away to Spurs at the same time. So they're both very similar teams, very similar you know, that you'd have a gelled Conte style at that stage at 19th of December, you know.
You're confusing me now with all the games.
I
Let's not go
know,
down that road.
I am going in. I'm just trying to see ahead of
You're
where
looking into the 2022 fixture.
and I'm going into 2022 and I'm trying to go
Exactly.
ahead.
I can't see. I can only hear you. Like, I have no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, it's hard to look at, but I'm kind of skipping ahead, just kind of talking where
Yeah.
can the points be won and dropped over the next few
What
weeks.
was I going to say it, yeah?
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah,
Just let people know what we're doing Sunday anyway. Just
yeah. So
in terms of
Sunday there's a football match, and we'll be watching
apparently
it.
so. Are we do like
Yeah, no, we'll be watching it, lads. We'll be doing a live watch along. Whilst also because it is the final game of the weekend, we can also probably do an EPL roundup at the same time, maybe live, and see what way we thought of the results of that weekend without needing to do a roundup after that on the Monday or Tuesday, let's say, because it's going into an international
yeah, we
break,
can do that.
and that's so on the Sunday we can just have a look at the games. Flash, can you come over here, buddy? Thank you. Flash's little doggy tag is just rubbing off everything that he's walking along. So yeah, we can have a look at that and we can do an EPL roundup straight after the Liverpool West Ham game on Sunday. Hopefully happy after winning another 3 points and maybe after catching up with Chelsea, which would be great. By the end of the weekend. So I mean that's just kind of what's coming up ahead. Because we don't have to procrastinate too much on that. Let's hope we're level on points by Sunday evening. If not, let's hope that we're just still where we are. And still keeping right there with Chelsea whilst we get some of our players back from injury and they go into their toughest period. So that'd be great. Just staying within those 3 points coming into this Christmas period. That's the kind of point I was trying to make before with all the talking about the games coming up. But we can go through a whole festive period thing anyway at the start of next month. Right, so lads, we're going to leave you there with that one. From myself, also Kevin.
And me, Kevin, also.
We are the Kitmen. We'll see you on Sunday at about, we'll say around 4 o'clock before the match. We're going to have an old chit chat beforehand,
Bit of a chit
get an
chat, I think that's a good idea.
old cup of tea and chillax before the game and have a look at the team news and stuff like that. All right, so we'll see you again, lads. Be sure to like and follow and subscribe the Kitmen channel. And you'll see as well, especially hit that notification bell because then you can see when we're going live. And you can get all the best content. You can come in for the chat. We'd love to be able to have you guys come in and chat next to us so that we can bounce off what questions you like or your topics that you want to bring up as well mid game. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I'd say that's it, Kev. So we'll see you on Sunday, buddy.
Cool. No worries.
All
No
right.
worries. All the
All right.
best.
All right, lads and lassies, we're out. Good luck.